I need to feel your energy today from start to finish.
Come on, let's go.
Let's crank this thing up. It get real ferocious, I'm trying to tell you.
Turn me up all day.
From the locker room to the broadcast booth, breaking news and the truth behind every take from a real NFL insider and television analyst.
Now get ready for the NFL show where the conversation gets real and the fans get a voice. It's time for the Lake Lewis Jr. Show here on ESPN Radio.
And that's football.
Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining us as always. We've got a good one coming up for you today, folks. We're going to talk about training camp questions for the Washington Commanders because they're there now. You know, we're a couple days away. You know, next week is when everything really kicks in. So if you are a Commanders fan, it's almost there. We're almost there. And, you know, I'm sure you're looking forward to it as fans. Can't necessarily say I'm looking forward to training camp. You never am. And I know Alan is never, ever looking forward to training camp. Obviously, you get a chance to see a team come together, you know, whether it's the Commanders, whether it's the Ravens, if we're up there, wherever we are, you get a chance to see, you know, guys come together. And speaking of that, you know, Alan, let's bring in the super producer, you know, Alan Sanders. What's going on, Al?
Nothing much, man. What's going on?
Man, do you know I got you know, I was doing my workout yesterday in the gym again. And speaking of that, on Thursday, we're going to have literally having my trainer, you know, from Crunch Gym off Broad Street. You know, he's going to be coming in. He and the general manager, Jordan, they'll be in here. And wait till you see how big Cliff is, man. You know, and that's why you see me looking rocked up right now, you know, the whole because of him, you know, literally had me yesterday like a transformer up in the gym. Every time I was moving something, you heard that you know, breaking down. But yeah, he'll be in here. And but I wanted to say this though. I had an email come to me while I was in, you know, the gym yesterday and said it was from the league, and it said that I have to let them know what kind of coverage I want to provide in Australia. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's intended for Alan. That's not me.
It's not intended for me.
Oh, my God, man.
I'm not going to Australia.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go to Australia, man. Nothing against Australia. It's that flight.
No, it's the travel, man. Like, that's the thing, you know, in my position, like, I'm not just NFL bound, man. I got high school on Friday. I got college on Saturday. I got NFL on Sunday. Like, I can't go to Australia,
bro. I don't know, man. I'm seriously thinking, like, do I really want to do that? And of course, Janine's like, yeah, we're going.
It's not work for her.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, we're going. You know, she's like, you know, they taking care of everything. We're going.
That's the Rams Niners.
Rams Niners.
Yeah,
that's a Wednesday, man.
Yeah. See, I mean, I'm a Niners fan, and even then, now, I don't want to do that.
So that means I'd have to do the show from over there on Thursday.
Which, oh man, I don't even know the time zone that is.
Yeah, bro, it's the next day.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So we'll have to see how that goes. So listen, my friends, if you want to chime in on today's show, remember coming up a little bit later on, we're going to have a big man, Trent Scott. He's going to call in today. Trent's getting therapy. You know, obviously that's more important. And again, I want everybody to know, you know, these are treats. These are just little luxuries that we're having right now, you know, as media and he as a player, for you to get this information and stuff, you know, from Trent, because, you know, this isn't being done anywhere else, just so you know. But when the season starts, that's when everything becomes normal. It's a normal occurrence on Tuesdays inside the team's practice facility. You'll get all that good stuff with teammates. And we've got a nice lineup scheduled for you. You definitely will want to make sure that you are watching and tuning in on Tuesdays with this show. So today, let's talk about some of the training camp questions, storylines, you know, entering training camp. And then also we're going to talk about 18 games, and it's loading for sure. And there's a reason for that. So when we switch gears and talk about league news, I'll let you know why those 18 games are going to happen. But Alan, if I were to ask you storylines, you know, what would you say is two storylines for you that you're looking forward to seeing when you're up there too for camp?
I think the main storyline will be how does Jaden Daniels and his new offense look? And I say new offense as in they got a new offensive coordinator. Is he going to look comfortable, right? We talk about him being under center more and things like that. Does that change his perception? Is his timing going to be different? And I know Trent talked about that probably like the first time we had him on, how it does kind of speed the clock up a little bit for the quarterback. Like, how does that look for him? Because I think last year he kind of got stuck at times holding the ball, waiting on guys to get open. He's not going to have as much time to do that realistically if he's closer now to the line of scrimmage, even at the start. Yeah. And then the second question for me is who's going to stand out on defense, right? Like, who looks like they're ready to take that next step, and not the guys that were brought in, but like our guys like the Frankie Louvu's who were there last year. They're coming into this year. I think everybody should feel energized with a new defensive coordinator. So how does that look? Are we going to see that from the first snap of training camp? Like, the energy's different, guys are hustling around and things like that. What's the attitude of the team in training camp?
Let me ask you this about Frankie, because you covered the Panthers.
Yeah.
And
I don't think they appreciated Frankie.
Well, clearly they didn't.
Yeah.
But my question is, and I know the answer, but I want to get it from someone that covered him before Washington. I just saw him in Washington. But for you to see him and what he was doing in Carolina and was a bright spot for a bad outfit at the time, what you saw his first year in Washington, is that the true Frankie Louvu? Or last year, was it more or less, back down to reality type thing?
I think Frankie's a human, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say that is, there are some guys, no matter what, they're going to play and be above the influence. It doesn't bother them. I think Frankie's very vulnerable in the sense that, like, when things are not going right, he shows it and it affects his play. When he's not comfortable in the system, it affects his play. I think last year was him not being comfortable. I think what you saw in the first year is Frankie loose. Frankie with a little bit of freedom within the system, not having to process and think so much pre-snap or post-snap, right? I think last year they were asking him to be more linebacker, more cerebral, and I think he needs to be more reactionary. See ball, find ball, hit ball, things like that. Like, I think when he's in the system or he's asked to just be reactionary, that's when you get the best Frankie Louvu.
Yeah, and I think that's what Durante Jones, and that's why I asked you that, perfect tie-in, because you said you want to see the defense. I want to see how Durante Jones uses these guys, and for all intents and purposes, from what we've seen so far through OTAs and minicamp, you can see that Frankie is going to be able to just be reactionary, that he is going to be able to just go ahead and get to the football and do a lot of the things that he did in his first year in Washington, and I think that that's what's going to make it better. But the other thing that's going to help Frankie is because he's got better talent around him in that linebacker room with Sonny Styles, or as you say,
Sonny Boom Boom.
Boom Boom Styles, okay. And then, of course, Leo Chanel, so now you think of all these other thumpers they have and athleticism that room has overnight. To me, the linebacker room, Allen, could go from being one of the poorest units on the roster last year to being one of the top 2 or 3 units collectively on their roster right now.
Yeah, I think it's very important for that unit to be cohesive, to do the cliche things, right? Off the field, hang out, learn one another, go play some golf or video games or whatever you got to do to bond. But the ability of those 3 or 4 particular guys to work together and understand and trust one another. I think that's the biggest thing, is you can't overcompensate if you're going to be part of this linebacker core. You got to understand that the guy's going to do what he's supposed to do. I think a lot of last year, especially when it came down to coverage, people didn't trust one another. So you have overcompensation, and then because you're overcompensating, you're now out of place. And it's like that little the cartoons where there's a leak in the boat and you plug the boat and then there's another leak here and another leak there. So I personally will look for that. And you can see those kind of things in training camp when people are going through their drills, really, because there'll be drills and things that they'll have going on that you'll be able to kind of get a good vibe check. That's why I personally picked the joint practice, because then that'll be the first time I think we'll really see some competitive energy, and you'll get a really good understanding of who's on the same page defensively and how these guys are going to work together.
I had someone the other day reach out to me and ask me, how come no one's talking about K'Lavon Chasen and Adafe Owe because they're linebackers too. And I'm like, wait, time out. Technically, they may be listed as linebackers. Yeah. They're edge rushers. They're linemen, basically. Yeah. They're D linemen. That's why you never hear us talk about them.
The new hybrids, basically. And then, honestly, if they're not going after the quarterback, then I'll be very disappointed.
They better not be dropping back in coverage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're there to get the quarterback. I think that was one of my biggest beefs last year with Frankie Louvu. Like, man, dude, send him. Don't have him in so much. There are times where you're gonna have to have guys in coverage depending on what you're running. I understand that it's not a 100% thing, but it needs to be like 80-20 in my opinion. 80% of the time he needs to be going after the quarterback, and 20% of the time he needs to be in coverage. And it shouldn't be anything where he's 10, 15 yards down the field or anything like that, man. Get him in the flats or something very, very simple. And let him be reactionary. Because again, when he's going after the quarterback or when the ball and everything is in front of him is when he's at his best, in my opinion.
Folks, right now you're listening to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show right here on ESPN Radio, and I am here in the building here in Richmond with my good friend and super producer Alan Sandage. I got to tell you, when you look at some of the other storylines, clearly the wide receiver room is one of them.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest question.
That might be the biggest one. And everyone, outside of us and outside of people who cover the team, it's like, this room's going to be terrible. They're not going to be any good. I disagree. I know what I saw, leading up to today, at least. I know what I've seen. And it's looked pretty good. Obviously it starts with Terry. And I think the Seattle Seahawks, and we've talked about this numerous times here on the show, but I think the Seattle Seahawks have proven that you don't have to have a T. Higgins opposite Jamar Chase. You don't have to have 2 or 3 just total weapons in order to win a Super Bowl or get the job done. But you do have to have that alpha number 1 receiver. And Washington has it clearly in Terry McLaurin. So I think everything else falls in line. Now, with that said, you are taking a little bit of a gamble if you don't have another alpha because, and I think you mentioned this on last week's show, Alan, if Terry were to get hurt, it changes everything immediately.
Yeah, it's a very delicate process when you don't have a lot of depth. Even when Jamar Chase gets hurt, T. Higgins isn't T. Higgins. That right. Offense isn't that offense.
Right. It's a wrap.
I would say, in the modern NFL, you just need a guy that can win the one-on-one, right? You need a guy that if people played you man-to-man, they would be terrified, right? Yeah. They're not ever going to play you man-to-man and not leave somebody over top. Like the threat of this guy's big playability is enough to kind of give you some wiggle room. And then the other guys down the line just need to make the plays when they're given the opportunity. At this juncture in everybody's career, you're in the league. You're part of the 1%. So you've got the talent.
You already showed that you were good.
You've got the talent, or otherwise you wouldn't be out there. So they got to execute.
But what about I also look at guys like a Luke McCaffrey, okay? Is Luke McCaffrey ever going to be, his dad? Probably
of course not. Never.
But that's what I'm saying. But Luke's a good football player. And I think he was showing that last year up until he got injured. He was showing you value on special teams as well in the kickoff return game. So I think, the light bulb was already coming on for him. And I think in year 3 for him, I think this is the year where it literally all clicks. And if that's the case, Luke could be a 3rd, 4th option in the wide receiver room, maybe 4th option. Okay. Because I think Antonio Williams is going to be your 2nd option from the wide receiver position. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have some other guys. De'Ami Brown is back, so that's another guy.
De'Ami Brown back and he grew.
Yeah, I'm saying he's another guy that go back to last year in the playoffs or 2 years ago in the playoffs. He was a big part of this team moving forward and, had a porous game in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. Remember, he put one on the ground, kind of changed the momentum of that early part of the game. But with that said, he's a deep ball threat. Van Jefferson, deep ball threat, a veteran on top of that. And I think you and I, we've said this before as many times too, with what Chig Okonkwo can do, as far as being athletic at the tight end position, a guy maybe you can spread out, maybe even Ben Simmons, a guy you can spread out at times. I don't think the wide receiver room is as, talent strong as people seem to think it is outside of the DMV.
Well, I don't think the Commanders want to solely depend on these guys to carry him either, because then that means Jaden's dropping back more and he's more exposed to getting hit.
And they're not running the football.
We haven't talked about it, but obviously it's going to be the storyline nationally. Is Jaden Daniels healthy? Is he injury prone? Things like that. Well, the amount of exposure you give to him to get hit, whether it be dropping back or designed runs, is going to play a factor into his durability. So I think in the perfect world, the Commanders would love to establish the run, be that more physical team, and take the ball out of Jaden's hands more often than not.
Yeah.
But again, this is about opportunity, right? Like, you have the opportunity to make a big play. You need to make the big play. And like I said, for the Commanders, the questions on home run hitters is going to start with that wide receiver room before we even get to the running backs, I think.
Yeah. And that's one of the rooms that I do want to talk about as well. And then I will go to break after that. But I think the running back room this year, having gone out and signed Rachaad White, who can be a dual type threat out the backfield. And then you have Bill, who I know you are really high on. And I think the guy has star power. He's a home run threat waiting to happen. I think that this running back room is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm a Katron Allen guy, from my school. I'm not going to say where. You should already know. If you're listening, you should already know where my school is. Okay. So with that said, I think this running back room is actually going to be very viable for the Commanders to do what they need to do on offense. Like you said, to take the pressure off the wide receivers, to take the pressure off Jaden. And let's face it, you've heard Big Trent say this, and he'll probably say it when he comes on with us at around 3:40 today. The offensive linemen want to go forward. They don't want to backpedal. They don't want to go in the pass block. They don't want to do that. They want to put a hand on a man in front of them and establish this is how this game's going to go for you all game long. And that starts by running the football.
Yeah, back home we used to call it leaning on people. You want to lean on people, man. Yeah, and every offensive line really wants to. I mean, otherwise, pass blocking, I'm not going to lie, pass blocking is kind of boring. Run blocking is so much more fun, so much more aggressive, so much more of like it's just what I think football was designed to be, right? Like that man on man, hat on hat. I'm bigger, stronger than you. Yep, yeah. It's that intimidation factor. Like it's art and finesse to pass blocking, but I think when we talk about grit, we're really thinking about run blocking. And I know those guys are excited because again, the Commanders, not so quietly, have at least 6 guys that I think could slot in any given day on that offensive line and be really effective.
Yeah, because to me, right now, the offensive line is the strength of this football team. I think you've got the bookends with Laramie Tunsil on the left, and then on the right, Josh Connerly. In the trenches, you've got Big Sam Cosme. On the other side, you got Chris Paul and Brandon Coleman will battle that out. And then, obviously, the big question is Nick Allegretti at center. Can he get it done? I think he will get it done. I think that that's a natural position for him at center. I know he's excited about it. So lots of good stuff that will go into training camp. Folks, if you want to chime in today, all you have to do is give us a call at 804-327-0888. You're listening to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show right here on ESPN Radio. Make sure you're safe because it looks like we're getting ready to have some storms come through here in the Richmond area. And Alan, you see, I had to go put my jacket back on in here in the studio because, hey man, listen, I know it's hot outside. It's like a devil's dance outside. That's how hot it is. But man, it was cold up in here just now.
Yeah, when the temperature drops outside, it drops drastically inside too, which is wild because
my hands are cold. I've been rubbing my palms all show.
You would think it wouldn't change it that much, but no, for sure. When that sun's not coming through the window, it does get chilly.
See, it makes sense because I used to say to myself, Alan has a hoodie on.
Yeah,
every
I'm
day.
always in a hoodie,
and it's like 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, I got a hoodie and sweatpants on, man.
Yeah, I got the
it's an ice box in here.
Burberry flip flops on or slides on, and it's too cold. I need some socks on up in here, man. It's cold. So, what's not cold is us talking about the heat that we expect, and I don't mean in the air. I just mean with this football team, the Commanders. We're talking about some of the big storylines for this team entering training camp, which is coming up. It will be up there on the 29th, and actually on the 27th, we have like a happy hour they do every year. Well, they've started doing over the past couple of years with the new ownership group, where they come out and, we eat some food and talk, just chat. And they get it, man. This is the kind of stuff you're supposed to do, because if you treat your media good, the media is supposed to, reciprocate that and do it. Don't. I see that face, Alan, because you already know
you'll never
that
butter me up, man. I get why they do it, and I respect it. It's professionally done, but it's probably why I'll never officially be like a league person, because I will never not say what I feel like needs to be said, no matter how much you butter me up.
I
know you do too.
I'm not a company man like that.
Yeah.
I say what I gotta say, but to a certain extent.
For some brisket, I'll give you 24 hours. I'll give you 24 hours.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that you just can't say. That's why I'm really looking forward to this year with you, because I just know I can't wait to see you at some games.
I have a process, Lake. The things I know I cannot say, I have a friend. I will rant and text him. He's actually a Commander fan.
Okay,
he will remain nameless, but he knows every Sunday night he gets a full unfiltered breakdown from me because it's things I can't say on air. So he gets the truth, and then by Monday morning I'm good.
Well, I'm glad to learn that you will not throw your boy under the bus.
No, not at all.
Because I still got to be up there. Like, hey man, y'all can't. No.
My vocal rebuttals to Joe Witt Jr. last year is probably the most I've ever done openly, publicly, where I was sitting in the press box and like,
but
this is unacceptable.
But you know what though, Alan? That's different. And you know why that's different? The reason why that was different was because he stunk.
Yeah, I think everybody
like
at that point was tired of it.
And I felt bad for him, man, at times, because he was a good dude. He spoke to you. You sometimes see him out there with his kids and his wife, and it's just
that's
like,
cool, man. But you got a job to do.
Hey,
You're
man,
not doing a good job
telling
of
me
it.
otherwise. If I don't do mine, I'm out.
Yeah,
and speaking of that, we see what's going on today. With the brand. And I got to tell you, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm good though. I want everybody out there to know I'm good. We're good in here. So, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't work directly for the mothership, so I'm good too. Yeah.
I do. We good. I'm good. But you see what's going on out there. But you're right, man. It's like when you have a job to do, and sometimes you might overstep your boundaries. Things happen, and so we'll leave that alone. I'm not overstepping anything.
Yeah, I think there's two other questions too that we didn't discuss that are kind of unrelated to what the personnel on the field is about.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the Dan Quinn situation, I'm not trying to drum it up, but again, this is going to be national talking points. Is Dan Quinn coaching for his job? What does it look like if the Commanders start slow? And then the other thing would probably be in the next couple of weeks, Ayuk will probably come back up as well. I would imagine.
I think that is I think that ship has sailed.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You guys avoided something terrible.
That one clearly has sailed. And again, I know I was one of the guys that put it out there from day one that he was on his way. And I'm sticking to that.
He probably was
going to be on
until
exactly. But I can't control stupidity.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
It went from dumb to like really dumb. Like we discussed the whole back and forth with Jaden directly. Was probably that was it.
So my father used to have this saying back in the day was people used to get hit by ignoritis.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be what's happened there.
My team's problem now. So we'll see what they do.
I just don't see under any circumstance how, listen, man, we know Coach Quinn and we know how he likes to get down, as he says. And what that is just through character, through a harmonious, locker room, nothing to disrupt the balance of what they're doing. And it's going to be hard enough with the schedule that this team has, to start the season, especially. You can't afford to have any kind of, side stories or any kind of drama to come in and seep into that locker room. They just don't want it. They don't need it. And I'm pretty convinced that I just don't see him there now. I don't.
Yeah, no, it's a delicate situation, given that this team is trying to refocus and fight their way out of what was an awful year last year. And again, it starts week 1 and it's going to go every single week, right? So you don't need any off the field stories going on. And that's one thing over the last 3 years that I've been around the team hasn't really been an issue in this new era.
Yeah.
Not a lot of off the field conversations or newsworthy things. So that's a good thing, actually.
Man, you know what's newsworthy, man? Seriously, all jokes aside, I'm kind of admiring myself in these cameras right now with this. I feel like I can see some tone, some definition coming.
You gonna run the 40 next year at the combine?
I don't know.
do the bench press challenge?
Never. Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, like, you would have been proud yesterday. I was throwing up some heavy weights.
No, I went to the gym with my son. It was an awful experience because he's 9 and he whined the whole time.
I bet he did.
Yeah, and I mean,
I hate the gym though.
No, me at the gym is right back to strength coach college days. Get that up. Yeah. I told my trainer when he comes in on Thursday here on the show, I'm gonna let him tell you what I told him. But I did. I told him on it was look like a little hexagon, weight thing. Yeah. I told him that you said you guys had to step. Yeah.
And he said, when you see him, you'll see. He said they had to hold 45s on each side and jump up onto
box jump
on box jump.
Yeah.
And I said if I did that, the only thing that would have jumped up in the air would have been my insides coming out of my mouth. There's the only thing that would have happened.
Well,
if I had done that.
It's wild. Like Connerly to me is
you can see that.
Yeah, he's the new age offensive lineman, and I'm just using him as an example.
Yeah,
it could be all new age athletes. Obviously, you can kind of tell like they're all so explosive, but these offensive linemen, like I think back in the day, they lift to be strong and burly, but like now everybody's kind of like the Larry Allen, where they're big, strong, but they're super athletic and explosive,
and will put their hands on you, and you are not moving.
And in his case, him and Tunsil, like. I'm really excited to see what they can do, man. They can get real creative if they want to.
I think it's gonna be some things happening.
I want to see some pulling, man. I want to see one of those come down the line. The Niners pull Trent all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. I would love to see Connerly do that. I don't think Tunsil wants to do that at this point in his career, but Connerly's definitely willing and able.
Well, I think it's safe to say, David Blau, the new offensive coordinator who's been in the building for the previous 3 seasons. I think the fact that he has that history in Detroit coming from there, you're going to see a lot of that.
Hell yeah, because they will send Penny Sewell.
That's what I'm saying. Penny Sewell's coming around, and you see guys making business decisions.
Yeah, man.
And I think with Laramie, or they could do it on both sides.
They put that guy out wide and do wide receiver screens.
And guys were like, you know what? I think I may want to
why would I want to tackle this? This is crazy.
How do you tackle someone that big? Do you go for the legs?
You use the sideline and you just shove them as hard as you can and hope they step out of bounds, and then you look tough. But
you know what you see a lot of guys do? They drop down like they're going to do a push-up.
Well, I was talking to a friend earlier today before we came on air, and he was talking about Derrick Henry. We were talking about Ryan Clark, and I was like, yeah, I want that mentality, man. I want you to think you can stop Derrick Henry one-on-one in the hole. Go for it. Especially from a safety. And he was like, all you got to do is go for the legs.
Yeah. Right.
And I said, dude, there's a clip. People can look it up. When he was at Bama, somebody tried that.
Break your shoulder.
Yeah, somebody tried that and bounced off of him like he was made of rubber. I don't know if I would recommend always going for the legs. I think it depends on the athlete. And I don't know if Derrick Henry's that guy. But I did tell him, I do remember vividly one of the safeties or linebackers from Kansas City sat him on his butt one time, one-on-one in the hole.
I mean, it's possible. Some big dudes. Yeah. You gotta. It's form tackling. You gotta have the proper technique.
He's got 10 yards of steam, man.
So you're younger, so I'm not gonna get you in trouble again because somebody's gonna say he doesn't know who that is.
I know a lot of the old backs.
Do you know Nigerian Nightmare?
Yeah, Christian Okoye.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve Atwater rocked him.
He sure did, but that was a form tackle.
Absolutely.
You got to meet them in the box before they pick up momentum. Because once they pick up momentum, it's nothing you can do. It's a wrap. So
and that changed. Like he was, I think, if I recall at that time, he was like a boogeyman, and then Atwater sat him down and he became vulnerable. Like he became like it was like Eddie George and Ray Lewis.
You become
mortal.
mortal.
Like Eddie George was like unstoppable,
Until
and then
Ray,
he met Ray Lewis, and then it was like, dang,
box.
now everybody's tackling you.
And people were like, you know what? Maybe I'm not as afraid anymore to come up and try to hit this guy because I saw Ray do it.
I mean,
that's a different beast,
Ray could do what he wants. He wouldn't put a battery in my back. I still would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a different beast. Let me tell you this story real quick before we move on here. I remember 2012, I'd go up to Owens Mills to cover the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just hear literally on the field the whole practice. You just heard, and it was fans out there too now behind us. So you sometimes the fans will muffle out the sounds coming from the field. No, you heard Ray Lewis the whole practice, just he's shouting and just the energy. It was infectious, man. And then I recall preseason game, they were coming out the tunnel, and I was standing right at the door where they came out the locker room. This was at the time FedEx Field.
Yeah.
And you could hear him in the locker room before they even opened the door. And I'm just like, if a guy's leading like that and then he's going out on the field and producing as well, how could you not get up to play?
Yeah, you gotta be wary of these guys that'll pray over you after they knock you out, man.
I've always said
gotta
when
respect
a little
it.
crazy.
Yeah, you gotta respect it.
Different.
Like, that switch turns on and off. Troy Polamalu was the same way, man. Like that switch turns on and off so quick, man. It's scary.
Man, you know what is scary? What's coming? We're sitting here talking about guys praying over you and hitting you and all that stuff. Well, it seems like they're going to be hitting each other for 18 games, and that's coming.
That's inevitable. It's too much money not to.
It's too much money.
Yeah.
And so when Trent comes on with us, I want to get his take on that, because if you knew that you could make more guaranteed money to play another game and maybe you don't have to worry about preseason games, would you sign up for that, Alan, as a player?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would. I think it does stink for the guys who are fringe roster additions.
Oh, because you're gonna get work.
Yeah, yeah. They don't have a preseason per se anymore.
Exactly. Right.
But the idea that you do get more games and you do get more money would be enticing for me, especially considering that the NFL is probably the only thing in the world that has yet to lose $1. Every year they make more and more.
The NFL is the most lucrative U.S.
They're
sport.
talking about going to play in Japan, which is on my one of my like to-do lists to go to Japan. So if they do that, I'll go to that game for you. I'm not going to go to Australia, but I go to Japan. But again, they're globalizing the sport, which in turn is going to make it more profitable. So I think 18 games was on the horizon for sure back, like 2, maybe 3 years ago when Joe Burrow said something about it. Like he openly talked about it. I think ever since then it's been kind of one of those things the players have been cool with if they're properly compensated for it.
See, I think that's the thing. So do you know what the league revenue was in 2025?
It's a number I can't really fathom.
They made
billions.
They made $23 billion,
which is probably up by what 15-20% or something crazy.
It was up $4 billion from the previous year.
Insane.
Okay, $23 billion, which was a record for the NFL. They're getting ready to sign a new TV deal.
Yeah,
it's going to go up even more. And when I say that this is the most lucrative sport in the country, it's not because we work there. I'm saying it's literally where all the money is. And they only play 17 games.
Yeah.
The NBA's playing 82 games. Major League Baseball, what is it, 163 something, 167, something like that?
162.
162. And they're still like $6-7 billion behind the NFL per annual income revenue. So to me, if you're a player and you now have an opportunity to get more guaranteed money, because the NFL is the one sport where you don't have a lot of guarantees.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't make the same kind of money across the board. Now, don't get me wrong. The top guys are starting to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you start getting to 45, 46, 47, 48, 49 to get to 53 on the roster, no.
I got one stipulation. If I'm a player and I'm part of the NFLPA, we switch to grass. I'm not doing 18 on turf.
Listen, man, I will say this. I think the players need to really start to I don't want to use the term get that backbone because that's like saying they don't have a spine, and that's not fair. But this is such a unique sport. It is the most beloved sport in our country. Would you say that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, some people are still going to say no, baseball is a national pastime. No, it's not. NFL.
I mean, it might be the
things.
national pastime, but it's not currently.
That's exactly what it was. It's past time. I
love baseball, but it's not in comparison.
The NFL's kingpin. And you might even be able to make an argument that college football might be second, as amongst anything. So the players are going to have to be able to say, listen, these are some guarantees that I have to have because we're making you a lot of money. And now with the Disney merger and all that stuff, the owners basically added $1 billion on their portfolios because they have 2% equity in Disney. I mean, there's a lot of money here to be had. And if I'm a player, and this is going to be interesting when Trent calls in, and obviously we can't put the guy on the spot like that. We know that. But I do want to find out, and I think it's fair to ask him, are you okay having another game on the schedule if it means you're going to get more guaranteed money for your family?
Yeah. I think that's a fair question. Like I already told you, sign me up. Sign me up. If the compensation's there, sign me up. My stipulation, and I'm saying this is somebody that figuratively would have been a skill position player. Obviously not an actual skill position player, but for like the Jadens and the Terrys, they need to fight for grass.
Right.
Over turf. For the offensive linemen and stuff, dude, just give me enough rest. Make sure the offseason schedule isn't like super crazy and pay me my money.
Well, you know what's going to happen, Alan. I mean, and this is the thing. Roger Goodell's getting ready to get, extended.
He honestly, I know people hate him, but the guy's good.
I mean,
he's
done a lot for those owners. He's made them some money.
That's what he works for.
Right, exactly. He's made them a bag, so at the end of the day, they're going to keep, if you making me money, what's your name? We're going to keep bringing you on and keep having you. And he's going to negotiate these 18 games and also this new TV deal that's getting ready to come. So you have to do that. So let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll have Big Trent Scott calling us up, talking about just that. Does he want another game if it's going to get him some more money? So hang tight. You're listening to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Bring in my good friend, offensive lineman for the Washington Commanders, Trent Scott. And remember, Trent's going to be joining me every Tuesday once the regular season starts for the Commanders, and we'll be inside the indoor practice facility up there. We've already done 2 outstanding shows, and everybody's excited about it. So let's bring him back on. What's going on, Trent?
What's going on, brother? How you doing? You can hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine. We hear you good. We hear you good.
Cool.
Yes, sir. So you're gonna love what we're talking about here because it affects you. It affects guys like yourself. And what we're talking about is how the league is definitely going to go to 18 games. Roger Goodell's going to get re-up next month, extended. And I have to throw this number out at you, my friend. In 2020 and 2025, your league that you play in made $23 billion. Do you know what the second closest sport was in the U.S.? It was Major League Baseball. Just take a wild guess in the billions, how much Major League Baseball made.
What was ours again?
$23 billion for the NFL, a record number.
Oh, MLB. What you 15?
Nah, brother, $12.2 billion. You guys have almost made $10 billion more with 17 games. Major League Baseball has 162 games, and the NBA, which was third, made 11.3 billion, and then it does go up to 14 billion for the NBA. But at the end of the day, you guys are making that kind of money. So I did want to ask you, as a player, if you could get more guaranteed money and add on an 18th game, one more game, would you sign up for that, or is that tougher than how it sounds?
I don't know if that's tougher. I just think it may be a couple more. I would just need to see the full package on what's coming with that. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, it's some players have discussed this, and we've had PA meetings, discuss some of this stuff, and so I don't want to get too much into that part, but I just think there's a couple other things that will come with that. We got to look at what does the preseason look like? Do we add a bye week to the season? What is, because ultimately, like, players are worried about. We got to see what the recovery will look like, making sure we're being taken care of on that aspect as well. So, of course, financially is at the top of the list. We adding the game, then, we got to be compensated in the right way for that as well. So,
yeah,
I would want to see what that full package looks like. You giving up something, so got to be able to get something in return too.
And folks, just, what I'm saying here is this isn't coming from Trent. So I don't want anyone coming at Trent. This is just me as a media person saying this. I used to say to myself, in order for you guys as NFL players to be able to get to make that kind of money that you see, guaranteed money with the NBA, with Major League Baseball, even with the NHL now, I kept saying, yeah, you're going to have more games in order to get that. It's just natural because you don't play a whole lot of games compared to the other leagues. But when I saw that $23 billion, I don't know anymore, Trent. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Put it like this. There's enough money to be given out to everyone.
Yeah, it is. You look at, the new deals that the league has with gambling. Gambling was another big thing that came in recently that boosted the revenue as well. So, man, it's a lot of money out there, like you said, man. And, players is our jobs and, our representation jobs to make sure we getting the best part of that pie, possible. So,
yeah, Trent, I feel a little way about the gambling thing. I don't gamble because we can't, as media, NFL media, like we can't gamble. I know you guys can't gamble. But
right.
But when you see DraftKings and FanDuel and all those ads going around, and it's like, it's a little hypocritical, just a little bit, if you ask me. But that's my words. These aren't your words, because I know, I want to get you in hot water. With that said, I do have to commend you because I saw you on your stories on IG. I saw you on CBS up in DC, man. So that was a good look for you.
Oh yeah, man. That was. It was good times, man. Good people. They brought us in, and we were talking about the HBCU game and showing love about that coming up in the season. And it was cool, man. Going to the studio, hanging out with them. Had a good time with those guys.
See, you becoming Mr. Media now, man. You see what happens? This is all part of the plan, right?
Hey, like we say in football, man, the more you can do, bro.
Of course, can't put y'all in a box, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
Absolutely not.
One of the things that Alan and me were talking about, earlier in the show was just storylines, entering into training camp, and it's coming. It'll be here on the 29th. We'll both be up there. One of the things that I said, and as far as the storylines, was how I feel like the offensive line is the strength of this football team. I know you're going to say, of course it is, but realistically, it really is. Don't you? I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, you look at, you look at the run game statistics from last year. You look at the pass pro and the sack statistics we had last year. I think the offensive line, was definitely a strong suit. And just the guys, man. This is why they're one of the better, O-line groups that I've been around, man. Just a group of guys that has been really successful on and off the field. And, you throw guys in there like Laramie Tunsil and, Josh, who's a young player that's got a crazy upside, man. Really looking forward to what Josh brings this year. And, a lot of guys like Allegretti and Wild, guys won the Super Bowl. But just a lot of experience coming from a lot of different areas, man. And guys is hungry too, man, so you throw guys like me in there that's just like ultimate competitors and just, trying to bring whatever to the room that we can. And so it's just, I think it's a hungry group that's, looking forward to continuing to build that identity. I think it was cool that, they brought majority of the room back, the way that they did. That just kind of speaks. Whenever you see that, in the O-line room, that kind of speaks to the work that they've done. Because if not, you would have saw a lot of turnover in the room. So just to see a lot of us come back, I think that spoke to what we brought to the team.
When we were in the bubble a couple of weeks ago, and it was, Josh Connolly was in there, Andrew Wiley, with both of us, I was throwing some words out and you guys were answering who fit that description. One of the things that I didn't throw out was who's the leader of that room? Like naturally people might say Laramie, but I mean, seriously, would you put your name in that hat? Like who's the leader of that offensive line room?
And I think we got a couple different leaders in different ways. Like Laramie is definitely, a lead dog in the room, and he's not a super outspoken, leader in that way, but he leads in his actions and his work ethic and how he performs and his process. It's a thing that a lot of young guys and everybody in the room can kind of model after. And then you got, I would say, I'm definitely more of a kind of like a tone-setting leader, and I do like to voice, how I feel about certain things, and to get the guys going here and there sometimes. So. I've been playing this going on 9 years, man, and I've seen a little bit myself. And so I do like to, express that experience in the room. And, just like I said, I love competing, man. So I just like to see the O-line be the dogs of the team and the team to lean on us in that way, man. I love that. That's always what I love about playing this position. So, we got a lot of, like I said, you got Nick Allegretti, who's, once again, not a, super loud, outspoken guy in that aspect, but a very smart dude who leads by example and, pulls all the other young rookies around and, get them going and where they need to be. And so a lot of older guys in the room that hold it down on that aspect.
Folks, right now we have Big Trent Scott joining us right now here on ESPN Radio. You're listening to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And we have, just a couple more days before it all starts. And, I wanted to ask you as far as last year. It was a tough year. We've already talked about it and documented that. We don't have to go through that. But my question was, as far as like having to pass block so much, does that kind of take the fun out of it a little bit? Or because do you really just want to go forward and put a hand on a guy? And does, the cardio aspect of pass blocking, I don't think people realize how big you guys are to have to do that consistently. And it was a lot of that. So did that kind of take the fun out of being more physical out on the field?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you did a poll, man, on all the offensive linemen at any level,
yeah,
and you ask them what they wanted to run block or pass block, I'm taking a major poll on that the O linemen, we want to go forward, man. We want to impose our will. That's what we like to do, man. My old coaches used to refer to leaning on people, man. That's what we want to do. We want to lean on people. So
that's just what Allen said, literally. He literally just said,
so like lean. Yeah. So it's like, pass blocking. I mean, look, if we being real, man, those guys on the other side, those edge rushers these days, they're more athletic. They're more athletic than us. That's in their wheelhouse. We're going backwards. They're going forward full speed. And so, it takes a different skill to be able to do that. And yeah, we're trained and ready to do that as well. But man, ain't nothing like being able to impose our will against the D line and see the running back bust through for 20-yard gains or take it to the house, man. That's you carry that on your back, knowing that you open up those lanes like that. So that's the cool thing about it. And I think we'll be able to do that a little bit more this year, man, to get after with seeing how things have progressed so far with the offense, man. I think we're gonna try to lean on that a little bit more. And all systems different, but hey, man, let the big fellas eat.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, man, nobody, and I say this all the time, when you start looking at great offensive linemen and even the legends, that have played your position, no one remembers them for pass blocking. Everyone remembers them for pushing somebody's face in the dirt. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that establishes and sets the tone for it's kind of like, look, I know you and I know how competitive you are. Allen, you don't realize this guy's competitive to the point where, he says he has the best playlist of all the players in the locker room. I'm gonna give him that too. I've heard
some. Yeah.
From what I've gathered, being around professional athletes, they have to be like that.
I mean, but no, he legitimately thinks he has the best playlist in that locker room. Am I making that up?
Hey man, I think I'm gonna take that crown, man. I think I'm gonna have to take that crown. We gotta.
I mean, you just heard him talk about golf.
We're going to display a little bit of that once we come back, too, man. We got to get get the guy. You can, hey, and we'll have some guys on Tuesdays, man. We'll have some guys on, and we'll ask them too. We'll see if they concur with that. But I would think so, man.
Yeah, who has that? So listen, my friend, I appreciate you calling in, at the end of the show today, because I know you were in, getting some treatment and all that good stuff. And it's almost that time, man. We're getting days away from being up there in Ashburn. So I appreciate you coming on, my friend, and I'll be in touch. All right.
Yes, sir, man.
All right.
Every week. You heard it from Big Trent. So look, we got to wrap it up today. I appreciate you for joining us and listening. Remember, you can watch this on my YouTube channel, which is at Lake Lewis Jr. It's the channel. So make sure you check that out a little bit later on tonight. Great job as always from Alan. So have a good one, my friends.